Chapter 437. Su Yiyen knew exactly what he had left out. She hid under the blanket and blushed like a cooked shrimp, but she did not dare to poke her head out of the blanket. The two of them spent the night peacefully. The next morning, Su Yiyen hurriedly left the house before Hua Chenhuan woke up. She naively thought that she could avoid the awkward topic by doing this. However, she did not know that not long after she left, Hua Chenhuan came downstairs. "Young master, should I ask someone to follow young madam to school? You don't have to follow her too closely. Just make sure she's safe." Zhua Yanbai nodded and immediately asked someone to follow her. Su Yiyen had expected Yi Qiliang to personally come and pick her up, given how much he valued her. However, she had not expected that other than Yi Qiliang, the principal of a university, would also come to pick her up. She also did not expect that the classroom, which she thought would be empty, would be filled with more than 50 people. Half of them were young people in their early 20s, while the other half were old people who were about the same age as Yi Qiliang. Su Yiyen, even though the number of people present was less than the number of people attending a small class, Su Yiyen could not help but feel nervous. Before she could speak, Yi Qiliang's face darkened. He shouted at the old people who occupied the front row, "What are you doing here?" Su Yiyen was stunned. She looked at Yi Qiliang blankly. "Didn't you call these people over?" The principal, who was standing next to Yi Qiliang, scanned the crowd and frowned. "Old Chow, Old Gu, and the rest of you. Why are you here instead of staying in your school?" Su Yiyen. It seemed that some of these old people were not from the school. No wonder they all came together. If one did not know better, they would have thought that this was some kind of senior training school. The few of them did not panic when they were called out by the former principal and Yi Qiliang. They stood up and said, "Old Yi, this is your fault. Why didn't you tell us about such a good thing? Tell me, are you planning to hide him here? You're not being honest." "Bullshit, what's there to hide? I was the one who personally invited him here. You guys don't have the ability or the opportunity to do so, yet you're still trying to twist the facts and accuse me of wrongdoing. Don't think that I don't know what you're thinking. You want to pick up something ready-made? No way." When they saw Yi Qiliang's firm attitude, they looked at each other and decisively shifted their attention to Su Yiyen. Their eyes lit up. As soon as Su Yiyen met the gazes of these people, an ominous premonition arose in his heart. Before she could hide, this group of gray-haired old people had already rushed up to her like sprinters. They held her hand and said in an incomparably familiar manner, "You're the broadcaster who donated the Chinese medicine seeds to the research institute, right? I didn't expect you to be so young and so good-looking. You're really a young hero." Su Yiyen. That doesn't seem to be the right way to describe him. "Hello, everyone." Su Yiyen really did not know how to deal with these unfamiliar old people. She could only politely and awkwardly greet them. Just as she did not know how to continue, Yi Qiliang had already taken a step forward and pushed their hands away. He stood in front of Su Yiyen to protect her. Like a hen protecting a chick in front of an eagle, he shouted at the old people, "What are you doing? What are you doing? You're already so old, yet you're still trying to get physical with a young girl. You're an old pervert, aren't you ashamed?" Chapter 438. After being yelled at by Yi Qiliang, they realized that they had indeed lost their composure. They said embarrassedly, "We didn't mean anything by it. We were just too excited." Yi Qiliang snorted coldly and still refused to move aside. Su Yiyen saw that these people clearly knew Yi Qiliang. She glanced at them and finally asked, "Professor Yi, these people are?" When Yi Qiliang heard Su Yiyen's question, his entire body stiffened and he said awkwardly, "They are professors from another university's pharmacy department." "Why would professors from another university's pharmacy department come to your university?" Yi Qiliang opened his mouth and was about to explain when one of them interrupted, "We're here because of you." "Because of me?" Su Yiyen raised her eyebrows and seemed to sense something. "How did you know that I was coming?" It's all my fault." Unexpectedly, the person who apologized was Yi Qiliang. It turned out that after Su Yiyen accepted his invitation, this old professor was so happy that he couldn't find his bearings. In order to vent his joy and show off, he posted this incident on his WeChat moments. In the end, this shot had attracted all of them. Yi Qiliang was now so regretful that his intestines almost turned green. He wished he could travel back in time and chop off those restless hands of his. After his explanation, Su Yiyen was embarrassed. She looked at these uninvited spectators, and the corners of her mouth twitched as she said, "Gentlemen, this is a university. It's not good for you to come here so openly to freeload, right? What's not good about it?" Their gazes shifted to the principal of a university. When the principal first saw these people, he was so angry that he lost his mind. Now that he had calmed down and was being stared at by these famous professors who were several years older than him, he broke out in a cold sweat. His tone was not as righteous as before. "It's not good to begin with. You're from another university. The guards let you in without permission. I'll have to settle the score with them in a while, let alone listen to a lecture here. You guys didn't apply to me." The more he said, the colder their gazes became. The old principal braced himself and held on. This precedent could not be set. Putting aside the fact that Yi Qiliang had begged for Miss Su for a long time to get her, even if it was just a normal class taught by an ordinary teacher in the school, without any application from his side, people from other schools could come and listen as they wished. Furthermore, it was right under his nose as the principal. If news of this were to spread, where would his face be? Seeing the old principal like this, they knew that it was impossible to persuade him. They looked at each other and seemed to have made up their minds. "It's fine as long as they're from your school, right? How did you come to this conclusion?" I didn't say anything, don't mess around." Sure enough, in the next second, he heard a few people say, "Today, we will resign and then come to your school to apply. Today, let us freeload." The old principal was speechless. Could he refuse? If those old fellows knew that he had poached them, wouldn't they eat him alive? No, this wasn't right. They had clearly come here on their own accord. Su Yiyen was a little speechless when she saw their shameless behavior. She coughed lightly and reminded them, "My class is not open to anyone from a university." Before she could finish speaking, she was interrupted again. "Isn't it just a guarantee? We'll sign it. Sign it, sign it, sign it right away." Su Yiyen was speechless. What was wrong with these people? They even knew about this. Chapter 439. Yi Qiliang and the old principal were also quite surprised. They immediately reacted and looked at the students in the classroom. As expected, they were met with guilty and helpless looks. With so many big shots asking them, even if these people weren't their teachers, they didn't dare to not answer. The old principal and Yi Qiliang were speechless. "You traitors, don't even think about graduating." Yi Qiliang's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. "Don't go too far." "How are we going too far?" "It's just that." The person was about to say that they were just here to freeload, but then he remembered that this class wasn't for just anyone. Worried that Su Yiyen would find them unreasonable and insatiable, the old professor wisely stopped talking and looked at Su Yiyen pitifully. The others also subconsciously looked at Su Yiyen, their eyes full of anxiety and pleading. Su Yiyen, who had always been amenable to coaxing but not coercion, was speechless. "Ahem, it's not impossible for you to stay, but there are conditions. Sign the contract?" "We'll sign it. Sign it, sign it, sign it right away. As long as we can stay, we'll do anything." Su Yiyen was speechless. Sign it, what do you mean sign it? If I give you a slave contract, who will you cry to after you sign it?" But on second thought, this group of people had already planned to resign and apply for a job in order to freeload. Signing a slave contract or something like that wasn't impossible. Su Yiyen was full of complaints and didn't know who to talk to. In the end, she watched this group of people sign the guarantee, agreeing to let them stay and freeload. After a chaotic episode, Su Yiyen was finally able to officially start teaching. At this time, more than half of the class time had passed. Su Yiyen's eyes turned and she went straight to the point. Hello everyone, I'm the lecturer of Chinese medicine. My surname is Miss Su. You can call me Miss Su. We may meet often in the future. I hope everyone can get along well. Is there a problem with me? As soon as Su Yiyen finished speaking, a boy raised his hand and asked, Why is it Miss Su and not Teacher Su? That's because my educational background may not be as high as some of you. If you call me teacher, I'll feel burdened. Also, Su Yiyen paused and winked playfully at everyone. I'm younger than all of you. If you call me teacher, I'll feel old. Everyone present. They felt the blow of age. Back to the topic, let's talk about what traditional Chinese medicine looks like in your eyes. The room fell silent for a moment. In the end, Yi Qiliang asked tentatively, medicine based on Chinese herbs. Su Yiyen glanced around and said with a faint smile, Is there any other answer? Don't be nervous. I know that you guys don't know much about this. If you guys are wrong, I won't laugh at you. No one said anything. Su Yiyen didn't say anything right or wrong. He continued to ask, Then what are Chinese medicinal herbs in everyone's eyes? I know this. It's plants. I've seen it in the host's live broadcast room. It's fresh or dried plants. Peng Jiaji said excitedly. Then the expression on his face suddenly froze. Only then did he remember that this was not the live broadcast room. Su Yiyen was their teacher now, not the host. Su Yiyen glanced at the young man who spoke and felt that he was somewhat familiar. After thinking for a moment, he remembered that this person seemed to be one of the people who accompanied Yi Qiliang to find him. Chapter 440. It's not wrong for you to understand it that way. Su Yiyen gave some affirmation to his answer. Most of you are pharmaceutical students, so you should know that most of the medicine today is made up of chemical ingredients and biological agents. As for Chinese medicine, as this student said, many of them are plants, but not all of them are plants. Take bezoar for example. It is a stone in the gallbladder, bile duct, or liver duct of cattle or water buffalo, but it has the effect of clearing the heart, dissipating phlegm, promoting gallbladder, and calming shock. It also has a certain effect on children's convulsions, epilepsy, toothache, swollen throat, mouth and tongue sores, carbuncle, and other diseases. When Su Yiyen said this, the audience was in an uproar. The stone in the cow's stomach is also a Chinese medicine. Shouldn't stone be formed by the dirt in the stomach? How can it be eaten? Won't it be poisoned? The audience discussed animatedly, but Su Yiyen seemed to have expected this. She took a deep breath and said, This is the reason why we want to learn this subject now. If I didn't tell you that bezoar is also an important medicine, would you have thought that the stone in the cow's stomach can be used to treat diseases? Everyone was silent for a moment. In ancient times, Shenong tasted hundreds of herbs and left the Shenong's Medicine Classic. Later, Li Shizhen worked hard to compile the Compendium of Materia Medica and passed it down to the world. The purpose was to let the world understand the value of these Chinese medicine, so that they can be used to treat diseases and save people. It's a pity that these precious books, along with many precious Chinese medicine, have been lost in the two migrations of mankind. I have a question. As soon as Su Yiyen's voice fell, someone asked, Teacher, I know, Miss Su, since most of these things have been lost, how do you know about them? Su Yiyen had expected that someone would ask this question. Even if it was not the students present today, it would be someone else. Because my home happened to be one of the small parts that were preserved. Just like recipes, some were preserved in the rush of migration, but a large part was still lost. For this reason, the Research Institute developed the nutrient solution, which is convenient for the public and can also fill their stomachs. The planet they lived on was different from ancient Earth. The animals and seafood here were bigger than those on ancient Earth. Some vegetables were smaller than those on ancient Earth. That was why natural ingredients, especially vegetables, were so expensive. When humans first set foot on this land, they couldn't be sure if the plants on this planet, or even the seeds they brought with them, would mutate or be poisonous. Coupled with the loss of the recipe, the research institute simply came up with a nutrient solution that could extract animal and plant nutrients. However, this thing was just like compressed biscuits. It concentrated and extracted all the nutrients in the food. It could fill the stomach and also satisfy the various nutrients needed for human survival. However, it sacrificed the most important taste of the food. Even though they knew that it was cheap and easy to drink, many people still wanted to eat a delicious meal. You mean you have books related to it at home? What about those seeds? Was it also left behind by your ancestors? As soon as this question was asked, many people pricked up their ears. Obviously, the person who asked the question was not the only one who was curious. Many people were curious, but they were too embarrassed to ask before. Chapter 441. Yes, those Chinese medicine seeds were also left behind by my grandfather's family. It's just that they have been cultivated recently and have seen the light of day again. Why have they only been cultivated recently? Didn't you know that they were Chinese medicine seeds before? This was also the question that many people present were wondering. Su Yiyen smiled and continued to explain, that's true. I grew up in my grandfather's house. My grandfather's house has a lot of books, and I like to read, so I've read most of the books in my grandfather's study. A few years ago, I happened to see a few books related to Chinese medicine in my grandfather's study. Because of this, my family and I speculated that one of our ancestors might have been an expert or doctor in the field of Chinese medicine. Medical books were not like cookbooks. Most people would buy a cookbook and follow it back to improve their daily diet. As for medical books, one couldn't just buy one when one was sick and compare it to treat oneself, right? The best explanation was that one of the ancestors had been involved in this field, so it was more likely that such things would appear in the family and be preserved until now. Yi Qiliang had a deep understanding of this. The book that mentioned Chinese medicine was also found in his family's study. Although it was only a few words, it made him very curious and changed his fate. After reading these books, I developed a new interest in traditional Chinese medicine. I searched through many things left by my ancestors in my family, and among them were the seeds of these herbs. This made me even more certain that my ancestors must have been engaged in a profession related to traditional Chinese medicine. Su Yiyen lied without blushing, and no one doubted her. After all, the Great Migration was like wandering without a fixed place to stay. At that time, people would think most about how to save their own lives. At that time, who would want to drag these things along with them, other than those who were really involved in this field? Who else could it be? When I first found these seeds, I didn't directly hand them over to the research institute because I wasn't sure if they could still be grown after such a long time. Later, it was confirmed that they could be grown, and the finished product was indeed as described in the book. My family funded the research institute to start the research and planting of these seeds. I believe that in the near future, these things that have disappeared will be able to be popularized again and play their role. When Su Yiyen said this, the classroom was shocked for a moment, followed by a burst of warm applause. A few seconds later, another person suddenly raised his hand. I have a question. Speak. Just like Professor Yi, I've watched your live stream and I think you're very, very good. But you just said that you came across those books by chance a few years ago, and you only started to grow these things in recent years. Also, you're not that old now. Does this mean that as long as we study seriously, in a few years, we can also? Su Yiyen was a little dizzy from the way the other party addressed her. She almost thought that the person standing in front of her and asking her questions was not a student, but an entertainment reporter. After a while, she smiled again and said with some pride, if you study seriously, you will definitely gain something, but I can't guarantee that you will be like me. After all, talent is very important. Personally, I think I have inherited some of my ancestors' talent in this aspect. Everyone. F***ck, they felt the malice coming from the top student towards the bottom student. Chapter 442. Su Yiyen saw that the room was a little quiet, so he raised his head and glanced at everyone. Is there anything else you want to ask? If not, we'll continue with the lesson. No one spoke. Su Yiyan continued, to learn Chinese medicine, besides learning how to distinguish Chinese herbs, you also have to learn how to diagnose diseases. Just like when you go to see a doctor, the doctor has to determine what illness you have before he can prescribe the right medicine. Unlike the doctors nowadays who use instruments to diagnose diseases, Chinese medicine emphasizes on looking, smelling, asking, and feeling the pulse. A good Chinese medicine doctor can tell what's wrong with your body just by looking with his eyes. Just by looking with his eyes? Yi Qiliang could not help but recall the last time he went to the shop to look for Su Yiyan. Su Yiyan had also identified the symptoms of his two students at a glance. Although the symptoms of these two students were indeed obvious on the surface, he was more curious about, can you tell what's wrong with the body just by looking at the surface? When Su Yiyan saw that the person who asked this question was Yi Qiliang, he quickly understood what he meant. He smiled faintly and said, that girl from before had an internal problem, which was why she showed it by burping. However, this is indeed a relatively obvious way of showing it. There are also some that are relatively less obvious. Who is not feeling well now or recently? Are you willing to come up and give me a demonstration? Only those who are not feeling well can do it. It's fine if you don't. Some diseases were not obvious, and it was possible that even people themselves did not notice it. As soon as Su Yiyan said this, everyone was eager to give it a try, especially the few old people in the front row. They couldn't wait to rush up immediately. Seeing this, Su Yiyan simply pointed at one of them. This way down, the girl on the left of the fourth row. Yes, you don't have to look around. It's you. Are you willing to come up and help me? The girl who was pointed at by Su Yiyan was stunned for a moment. Immediately, she showed a confused expression as if she was absent-minded in class and was suddenly called by the head teacher. In the end, she staggered to the front under the reminder of her friends. Old. Old. The girl stood in front of Su Yiyan and stuttered. Don't be nervous, relax. The girl was a little shy. She nodded awkwardly and lowered her head slightly, not knowing what to do. Su Yiyan held her hand and said in a gentle tone, the so-called look is to look at a person's 5 sense organs. There is a simple formula: the liver governs the eyes, the heart governs the tongue, the spleen governs the mouth, the lungs governs the nose, and the kidneys governs the ears. Simply put, I can tell if your liver is sick from your eyes. The tongue corresponds to the heart, the mouth corresponds to the spleen, the nose to the lungs, and the ears to the kidneys. As Su Yiyan spoke, she carefully sized up the man's facial features, while the people below recorded down her words. But there is one thing that needs to be noted here. The tongue is different from the tongue coating. The tongue corresponds to the heart, while the tongue coating corresponds to the spleen and stomach. Su Yiyan said to the girl, open your mouth and stick your tongue out a little. The girl's face was slightly red. She opened her mouth and only stuck her tongue out a little. It seemed that this was her limit in public. Su Yiyan didn't make things difficult for her. After all, she still needed to take her pulse. The tongue coating is a little white. It means that your spleen and stomach are cold and you need to nourish your stomach. Do you have an irregular diet and like to eat cold things? Chapter 443. The girl was slightly startled and asked tentatively, cold stuff? Frozen nutrient solution. Does it count? Yes. The girl was a little embarrassed when she heard that. She just felt that the nutrient solution didn't taste very good. She happened to hear that the frozen nutrient solution would taste better, so she tried it. In the end, she found that the frozen nutrient solution did taste a lot better. She was used to chilling it before drinking it, but she didn't expect, you're afraid of the cold in winter and often have stomach pains? The people below subconsciously pricked up their ears to listen to the girl's answer. Yes. Su Yiyan didn't continue to ask. Instead, he continued, other than the facial features and tongue coating, the condition of your internal organs can also be seen from your face and the phlegm you spit out when you cough. But for you, it's still too early to talk about this. If you're curious, you can go to the hospital and stay for a while. There are all kinds of patients there. You can try to analyze their symptoms from their appearance. There's nothing better than practice to make people grow. Su Yiyan added as he was particularly worried. Of course, what I mean is that you only need to look at them with your eyes. Don't do anything unnecessary. Otherwise, it's a small matter if you get beaten up, but misdiagnosis is not a joke. Pfft. When Su Yiyan said that, the people couldn't help but laugh. Next is smell. Other than smell, you can also listen to the sound. Different patients with different diseases have different breaths when they talk and breathe, such as high and low, strong and weak, clear and turbid, and slow. For example, the person in front of you, her breaths belong to the weaker type. She breathes in slowly and exhales slowly. From this, you can tell that her body is cold and her constitution is weak. She needs more nourishment and recuperation. When Su Yiyan said that, the people were stunned again. Everyone's eyes subconsciously focused on the girl. Especially the old people in front whose ears were not very sensitive, they couldn't help but move closer to her. They wanted to hear if her breathing was really as Su Yiyan said, that it scared the girl so much that she couldn't help but step back and her breathing became chaotic. Su Yiyan saw this and coughed lightly, trying to pull the people's attention back. Let me give you another example. Everyone should know about asthma. How can you distinguish between the breathing of an ordinary person and asthma? Asthma. In addition to wheezing, there was also a key word, roaring. In Chinese medicine, the roar refers to the shortness of breath, but the throat actually makes a short, low cry, which often appears at the end of every breath. Because of this, Su Yiyan knew that Ning Siyuan had asthma when he first met him. If you have someone with asthma around you, you can go back and observe them carefully to see if what I said is true. Next is to ask. This is literally what it means. We have to ask about the patient's physical condition so that we can prescribe the right medicine. Don't underestimate this. Consultation often requires the patient to have complete trust in the doctor before they can tell you everything. Some patients who are afraid of treatment will not only not tell you, but may even lie. This may interfere with your judgment and affect the follow-up treatment. Su Yiyan did not go into too much detail about this. The last one is about feeling the pulse. You can confirm the illness by feeling the pulse. As soon as Su Yiyan said this, the old people in the front row stood up together and rushed to the front of the podium to take a closer look at the so-called pulse reading. Chapter 444. The girl who was called up was startled and wanted to run away by reflex. Su Yiyan was a little helpless and glanced at everyone warningly. Stay away from her. Otherwise, she will be too nervous and her heart will go out of order. If I take her pulse later, it will be easy to make mistakes. The expressions of the 10 or 20-old professors who could be Su Yiyan's grandparents froze when they heard this. They touched their noses embarrassedly and took a few steps back to give the two of them space. Only then did the girl breathe a sigh of relief and gradually calm down. Sit down and give me your hand. The girl nodded and sat down on the chair beside the podium and handed her hand over. Everyone in the classroom stared at the two people on the podium. After about a minute, Su Yiyan frowned and said, "You came to class without eating in the morning?" The girl was stunned and carefully nodded and replied, "Yes." Stomach ache? Yes, a little. Cold stomach, weak spleen, excessive liver heat, and have been staying up late recently? Yes. The girl nodded and there was an uproar in the classroom. He actually hit the nail on the head. It's easy to get heaty if you stay up late and come here without eating in the morning. It's normal for your stomach to hurt. It's easy to get your heaty down, but your liver heat is just an appearance. Your cold stomach is the real problem. If you only think of ways to get your heaty down but don't take care of your stomach, you will only be treating the symptoms and not the root cause. Su Yiyan seemed to have thought of something and said, "Your body is weak to begin with. Drinking cold things for a long time can be a big or small problem. You should pay more attention in the future." The girl nodded hurriedly. I won't drink frozen nutrient solution in the future. After being hit on several of her body's problems, the girl was now convinced by Su Yiyen's words. Then, how can I take care of my stomach? Eat more porridge and soup to nourish your stomach. If you don't mind, you can also come to my shop. The people there will recommend medicinal cuisine suitable for your body. Su Yiyen paused for a moment, then coughed softly and said, It's fine if you cook it yourself. Cook some millet porridge from time to time. Eat regularly every day. Don't eat breakfast and lunch together, and don't always eat raw and cold food. The girl nodded as she began to plan how to get to Su Yiyen's shop. She had heard that the store only had 200 slots per day, and the demand was not enough to meet the demand. The reservations had already been lined up for half a year. She wondered if they could open a back door for her on account of her relationship with the store manager. The girls cooperated with Su Yiyen and went down from the stage after the class. The few old people in the front row who were eyeing covetously finally found an opportunity. One by one, they came forward and wanted Su Yiyen to take a look at them. Su Yiyen, although most of these old professors had retired, they were still in their original positions. From time to time, he would give a few classes to the students and analyze the composition of drugs in the laboratory. He was a rare living treasure in the entire department and also the living signboard of the school. Most of these people were equipped with a good medical system. They would check their bodies regularly every day so that they could be aware of their own physical condition at any time. To put it bluntly, these people knew their own physical condition like the back of their hands. They wanted Su Yiyen to take a look at them because they wanted to experience the magic of Chinese medicine and satisfy their curiosity. Su Yiyen understood this. Of course, she would not allow them to mess up a good class. She finally persuaded them to leave after much persuasion. Chapter 445. Since it was her first class, Su Yiyen did not plan on stuffing them with too many things. She only prepared some basic theoretical knowledge and prepared 10 types of Chinese herbs such as Chinese knotweed, red dates, astragalus, angelica, and so on. She wanted everyone to see these things with their own eyes to understand the medicinal properties and effects of these things. When Yi Qiliang and the others saw these things, their eyes turned red. They wished they could throw away their pride and rush up to the podium to pick up the Chinese herbs and do a 100-meter sprint. However, they could not snatch them, but they could still take a few more glances. Yi Qiliang looked at his colleagues, who had their eyes glued to the medicinal herbs. He was a little disgusted but also a little proud. No matter how much they pretended on the outside, when they saw these things, their true colors would be revealed. They were already so old, yet they were still so inexperienced. How embarrassing. In the end, he had the foresight to invite Miss Su to be their lecturer. In the future, wouldn't they be able to see as many Chinese herbs as they wanted? At that time, Yi Qiliang had clearly forgotten his reaction when he saw these Chinese herbs in the live broadcast room. His reaction was no better than these people's. There was not much content in the morning's class, but it allowed these laymen to step foot in front of the door. It also made these people sincerely convinced of Su Yiyen as their temporary lecturer. These people were chosen to attend the class. Although they said they were interested in this subject, in reality, they were just curious. After all, there was a lack of literature, so what Su Yiyen said was still very unfamiliar to them. However, after this morning's class, many people were already yearning for the things that Su Yiyen described. They also had more respect and curiosity for Su Yiyen as their teacher. Su, are you really younger than all of us? How old are you this year? What the hell is Su? Look at how young I look. How can I be older than all of you? As for my exact age, don't you know that it's very impolite to ask a girl's age? Su, what does your family do? Is there anyone who is also involved in medical research? Is it a medical family? My family is just an ordinary family. The father is kind and the son is filial. It's harmonious and happy. There's nothing much to say. Teacher, you're so young. I don't think you have a boyfriend yet, right? What do you think of me? I'm the school hunk of our school. Everyone? Su Yiyan? Everyone's eyes focused on the person who spoke. After a few seconds of dead silence, someone shouted angrily, Yen Ju, you shameless bastard. School your sister's grass. You're the school's grass. I'm the most handsome person in the world. Is Yen? You're the campus hunk of a university. I think you're more like a dog's tail. If word gets out, you'll embarrass a university. That's right, that's right. If you're the school hunk, then wouldn't I be the market hunk? If people from other schools hear this, they'll think that all the boys in a university are ugly and that no one can find a girlfriend. Let's see if we won't kill you. Su Yiyan listened to everyone's impassioned criticism and was dumbfounded. This so-called school hunk had not been officially recognized, and his looks were not good enough. It was no wonder that it caused a riot. However, for such a small matter, they were all full of fighting spirit. They could not wait to scold him until he prostrated himself in front of them. Sure enough, he did not have enough homework. He was too free. Chapter 446. Oblivious to the fact that they were already on Su Yiyan's blacklist, and that they still had to face a lot of homework even after entering university, they were still blushing and criticizing the shameless school hunk. Yen Ju himself looked indifferent. He ignored the curses and said casually, I'm asking the teacher, not you. Why are you so agitated? Are you secretly in love with me and can't bear to see me confess to someone else? Everyone was shocked by his brazenness. After a while, they reacted and scolded him even more fiercely. Who's in love with you, narcissist? Beast. Stinky hooligan. Shameless. Yen Ju's expression did not change. He looked at Su Yiyan with a smile and said, Teacher, you haven't answered my question. I don't have a boyfriend. But... Su Yiyan raised her hand to show them the beautiful diamond ring on her ring finger. I have a husband. Crack, this was the sound of many people's hearts breaking. I don't believe it. It's useless if you don't believe it. Su Yiyan's face was cold. Also, I told you not to call me teacher. Since you're so disobedient, copy all the knowledge I taught you this morning 10 times and hand it in. I'll check it in the next class. If you don't complete it. Yen Ju subconsciously said, then what? Don't be nervous. At most, I'll ask you to come up and help with the demonstration, just like the girl on stage. Su Yiyan smiled innocently. By the way, I'll inform everyone in advance that we'll be talking about acupuncture in the next class. Acupuncture? Yi Qiliang and the others exclaimed. Their eyes were shining. They couldn't wait for Su Yiyan to start the class immediately. They were very willing to go up and do the demonstration themselves. Su Yiyan. Did these old men have masochistic tendencies? One by one, they rushed up to ask for acupuncture. She really couldn't understand how their minds worked. Although Yen Ju didn't know what acupuncture was, when he saw the reaction of these old professors, he suddenly felt a chill down his spine. He had a faint premonition that this was definitely something very dangerous and terrifying. The chaos between classes was just a harmless interlude, so Su Yiyan didn't take it to heart. Little did they know that not long after that, everything that happened between them was replayed in front of Hua Qinhuan. Someone confessed to Yen Yen in public? Yes. Although it was only a morning class, I can tell that young madam is very popular among the students, especially the male students. Outstanding women were popular, and beautiful women with good temperament could easily become the center of attention wherever they went. Zhua Yanbai could clearly see that their young madam had attracted the attention of many boys as soon as she entered the classroom. Not to mention, when she was speaking on the podium, she was simply a shining body of light. Although the young madam's frank words might have dissuaded some people, it might not be able to dissuade everyone. It was hard to guarantee that there would be 1 or 2 people who would not give up. Hua Qinhuan's eyes flashed when she heard his words, but her expression didn't change. Got it. Have someone continue to accompany her. Zhuo Yanbai opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He obeyed and turned to leave. Dun Dun, who was comfortable in Hua Chenhuan's arms, slapped Hua Chenhuan's hand. Its eyes were full of disappointment. Its master was attracting bees and butterflies outside, but its father didn't feel any sense of crisis at all. It was really worrisome. You'll regret it when you come to a green grassland. Chapter 447. After taking the picture, she gloated. Who told you to show off your love in front of this hurt little puppy? Look at you now, you deserve it. Perhaps because Su Yiyan had been busy with work, this little rascal had been taken care of by Hua Chenhuan. When they lowered their heads and looked at each other, the brain waves of a human and a dog miraculously matched. Heh. Hua Chenhuan sneered and tapped Dun Dun's little head. You don't even have a wife, how dare you laugh at me? Dun Dun, who was instantly pierced by thousands of arrows, was speechless. Dun Dun flew into a rage out of humiliation when Hua Chenhuan hit its sore spot. It jumped up forcefully while being held in Hua Chenhuan's arms, trying to use its chubby little body to crush Hua Chenhuan. Hua Chenhuan was very disdainful of this. She grabbed Dun Dun by the back of its neck and lifted this audacious puppy up. Yuan Yuan. With a low shout, the door to the study opened with a bang. A robot wearing a light pink maid dress slid in from outside. Papa, what can I do for you? QQ's soft mechanical voice sounded. It had a childish tone that was unique to children and was very cute. After confirming the relationship between Hua Chenhuan and Su Yiyan, Yuan Yuan re-entered the program and began to call Hua Chenhuan Papa. When it was at home, it spoke to the two of them more intimately than when it was with others. Take it to the living room to reflect on its mistakes for half an hour. If it doesn't cooperate, don't let it eat dinner tonight. Okay. Yuan Yuan obediently went forward to take Dun Dun. Woof. Woof. Dun Dun was stunned for a few seconds before it reacted. Its four limbs began to flutter non-stop. I didn't do anything wrong, I don't want to reflect on my mistakes. Sure enough, once you have a new puppy, you don't want the old one anymore. Master, come back quickly. Papa Dog and this little rascal are going to abuse me and deduct my dog food. Unfortunately, the puppy, who had yet to experience the dangers of the human world, was no match for the intelligent robot. No matter how it struggled, Roly-Poly easily carried it away. Along the way, she even said earnestly, Yuan Yuan has already told Dun Dun not to make Baba angry. Although the head of this family is master, Papa is the second master. Master loves Papa so much. If you two quarrel, Master will definitely help Papa. Wouldn't you be the one at a disadvantage? When Hua Chenhuan heard Yuan Yuan say that Su Yiyan loved her so much, she couldn't help but smile. No wonder Su Yiyan liked this little thing so much. This little thing was much smarter than Dun Dun. Dun Dun listened to Roly-Poly's persuasion and his strength to struggle became weaker and weaker. In the end, he gave up and gave up. Dog Daddy hurt his body, this little demon hurt his heart, and Master, forget it, Master is also in cahoots with them. There is no place for this little puppy here, sob sob sob. After watching the two little guys leave the study, the smile on Hua Chenhuan's face faded. Thinking of what Zhuo Yanbai said, a cold light flashed in her eyes. She felt that she needed to declare her sovereignty. At that time, Su Yiyan still didn't know that everything that happened in school had been broadcasted live in front of Hua Chenhuan. After a whole morning of teaching, Su Yiyan immediately grabbed her bag from the table and ran out of the classroom after the bell rang. She didn't give the old professors any chance to pester her. Just as she got into the car and was about to go home, her phone rang. As soon as she picked it up, she heard Xia Juanxing's rare panicked voice. Yiyan, something happened. Chapter 448. Su Yiyan's heart suddenly thumped. What's the matter? Don't worry, make it clear. It's Luo Weibing. Something happened to Luo Weibing. Luo Weibing? Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes. Is it his former agency? Yes, they have been investigating where Luo Weibing went since the termination of the contract with him. It may be that he came to our company in the past 2 days. A large number of media and marketing accounts began to expose his dark material on a large scale this morning. Su Yiyen's eyes were slightly cold and her face was a little ugly, but she was not flustered. Luo Weibing's former agency would find trouble with Luo Weibing and their company. After all, with the company's dirty atmosphere and his former agent's temperament, it was certainly impossible to let Luo Weibing go easily. Even if they couldn't kill Luo Weibing and their company, they were bound to step on them in order to bite a piece of meat from them. What's the dark material? Do the public relations department have a response plan? Everything else is okay. It's not difficult to explain. What's more serious is that they dragged you and your man into this. What? Su Yiyen's face darkened. What's going on? It turned out that a crew suddenly appeared early this morning and angrily accused Luo Weibing of being a big shot without any contract spirit. He had already said that he would take the role of the male lead in their TV series. The crew was also full of joy. In order to cooperate with his time, they delayed the shooting for a month. As a result, when it was time to shoot, he suddenly regretted, causing the crew's shooting plan to be stranded and the loss was heavy. Later, another actress suddenly jumped out and said that she was repeatedly harassed by Luo Weibing during the cooperation with the crew. She was even forced to have sex with him. Now that she had a child, he not only refused to admit it but also asked her to abort the child herself. Otherwise, he would kill her to keep her mouth shut. After that, the so-called exposure involving Su Yiyen and Hua Chenhuan that Xia Junxing had just said. At first, it was a photo of Su Yiyen and Luo Weibing entering and leaving the hospital together. It was claimed that Luo Weibing's contract with his former employer had expired a few days ago, but had not been renewed. The reason was that Luo Weibing had a relationship with the current person in charge of Dongcheng, Miss Su, who had scolded the young master of Hua Group and his mistress not long ago. The exposure pointed out that the two went in and out of the hospital together, they were intimate, and they seemed to go to the obstetrics and gynecology department. It implied that the relationship between the two and the relationship was not simple, and it was likely that there had been an affair's child and affair product. After reading the news, Luo Weibo. Weibo. These black-hearted media outlets were best at reading pictures and writing stories. No matter what the truth was, as long as they could attract traffic, they would naturally do whatever they could to break the news. Luo Weibing's fans naturally did not believe that their brother was such a person. They helped to clarify that Luo Weibing's family had a patient in the hospital and that it was very likely that he and Su Yiyen had met by chance in the hospital. But the first 2 pieces of black material had been previewed before this, making people think that Luo Weibing's character was problematic. Some passers-by who didn't know the truth had been led astray, and a large wave of water army and anti-fans were leading the rhythm in it. The clarification and rebuttal remarks were quickly drowned by a series of bad comments on the screen, such as, cursing Luo Weibing for being a big shot, sleeping with a female star, being kept by a married man and intervening in other people's marriage, betraying his old employer who had been kind to him, etc. Chapter 449. However, this was not the climax of the whole incident. Su Yiyen, an inspirational figure who had angrily ripped apart the scumbag's mistress some time ago, suddenly fell from grace overnight and was labeled as a shameless slut who cheated on her husband. Many people were very curious about the identity of the husband who had suddenly been cuckolded. Immediately, someone took the initiative to expose that Miss Su's new husband was the uncle of the family whose young master who had previously been scolded as a scumbag. The person who was originally going to marry the nephew had suddenly married the uncle. She had changed from a fiancée to an aunt. Many people had already imagined the drama of a wealthy family in their minds. The onlookers loved to watch a good show. In addition to watching the drama in the entertainment industry, they also loved to watch the scandals of wealthy families and property wars. From the intricate relationship between Su Yiyen, Hua Chenhuan, and Hua Xiaofeng, many people already had a preconceived notion that this matter was not as simple as it appeared on the surface. When Su Yiyen saw this, she vaguely felt a trace of strangeness. She felt that the person behind this had a very high possibility that she was not the only target. Sure enough, about half an hour after that, another insider revealed that Miss Sue's husband was actually disabled and had long lost the ability to reproduce. If Su Yiyan was pregnant, then this child must have been the product of an affair. When this revelation came out, many people were shocked. They were even more certain that Miss Su had married the family whose young master on the spur of the moment and that she had a very good motive for having an affair. Some men with cancer who were not used to Su Yiyan's previous insults immediately began to mock and ridicule her. When I saw this woman scolding the family whose young master before, I thought she was very powerful. Didn't she rely on marrying that rotten old man to dare to straighten her back? If you ask me, this woman only wanted to climb up the social ladder and did not succeed, so she flew into a rage out of humiliation and found trouble with young Master Hua. Young Master Hua is also pitiful. A good second-generation rich man's reputation was ruined because of her, and he even lost his inheritance rights. Calling her a vicious woman is already a compliment. Previously, when I saw her scolding that scumbag and mistress, I quite liked her. Now, it seems that she's just a so-so. These rich people are not good people. Each one of them knows how to play. They are a nest of snakes and rats. It's disgusting. He's right. Miss Su looks like she's only in her early 20s, and young Master Hua is also in his early 20s. Uncle Hua must be at least 40 or 50 this year, right? An old man with a handicap. I could already picture him old and ugly. She still wants to marry him? You're telling me that it's true love? I'm afraid he doesn't love money. Hua Chenhuan was not a celebrity in the entertainment industry whose photos were all over the streets. Moreover, he had not been out much since the accident. The netizens could not find any information about him or a photo of him. Based on his identity as Hua Xiaofeng's uncle, they were certain that he was an old man about the same age as Hua Qihan. They were certain that Su Yiyan had married Hua Xiaofeng's uncle to take revenge on him. However, after marriage, she could not bear to live with such a person, so she could not help but have an affair, which led to the current situation. After Su Yiyan finished reading these self-righteous analysis posts and the personal attacks on her and Hua Chenhuan from the random passers-by below, she was so angry that she almost smashed her phone. It was fine if these people were scolding her, but they were scolding her husband. It was fine if they were scolding her husband, but they were saying that he was old and ugly, and that he was a crippled old man. Damn old man. Have you ever seen such a young and handsome old man? Chapter 450. Su Yiyan was so angry that she immediately called Gu Xiaoyang. When Gu Xiaoyang received Su Yiyan's call, he thought that she was asking them for help because of the things on the internet. She wanted them to help her fight the internet water army like they had done several times before. Unexpectedly, as soon as the call was connected, he heard Su Yiyan ask, "Has the commercial of Fantasy Feast been released?" Fantasy Feast was the holographic online game named after the two of them. It was composed of homophones from each of their names. Gu Xiaoyang was startled and said truthfully, "Not yet. It was originally scheduled to be released tomorrow. One day earlier. Release it now. Give me a copy of the commercial. We'll interact with each other later to make the topic hot." Didn't they want to make their artists disappear? Come on, she was not afraid of them. Today, she would show them what it meant to be a top star. Okay. Gu Xiaoyang had no objection to Su Yiyan's order. He even tried to comfort her when he heard Su Yiyan's tone. "Young madam, don't care too much about the bad comments on the internet. We'll help you deal with it as soon as possible. The legal departments of your company and several of our companies are already preparing for it." As soon as Gu Xiaoyang finished speaking, Su Yiyan said angrily, "I know. These people are just jealous of Huan's beauty. A group of sour chickens. If I don't slap their faces swollen, my surname is not Su." After Su Yiyan finished speaking, she hung up the phone, leaving Gu Xiaoyang standing there in a daze, his face full of doubt. Huan. Beauty? Was young madam mad because of the vicious curses on the internet? Speaking of beauty, shouldn't young madam be the one? If young master heard this, he would be killed. Of course, he would be killed, not young madam. Understanding this, Gu Xiaoyang silently closed his mouth and pretended that he had heard nothing. As soon as Su Yiyan gave the order, the commercial of Fantasy Feast was released immediately. As a new account that had just been registered, not many people paid attention to it. The commercial did not receive much attention when it was released. Until Su Yiyan logged into her official account, reposted and commented on the advertisement. Huan's little Susu, my husband is the most handsome person in the world. I won't accept any rebuttals. Thank you. For those who said that my husband is old and ugly, I suggest that you poke your eyes out. The ophthalmology hospital can no longer save you. As for cripples, if a person could be described as crippled during treatment for a leg injury, then there wouldn't be many able-bodied people in this world. Also, you don't have to worry about those who are cursing our artists. If your main character turns into an ice cube, our artists won't either. Originally, everyone had been keeping a close eye on the public accounts of those involved because of the scandals. When they saw Su Yiyan appear, the onlookers and the internet water army immediately rushed over. The troll army didn't care about what you posted. They just copied and pasted it, crying and cursing. They couldn't wait to drag out all 18 generations of Su Yiyan's ancestors and curse them. The onlookers saw her response first and felt that her tone was too arrogant. They rolled up their sleeves and were about to scold her when they saw the two pictures attached to the response. The background of the picture was a beautiful seaside manor. There were a lot of blue roses planted in the manor. In front of the roses, a young girl was holding a big bouquet of blue roses and kissing a young man in a wheelchair. The picture was harmonious and warm. It was so beautiful that it could only appear in a fairy tale. Chapter 451. Although this picture was beautiful, it only captured the sides of their faces. It did not allow the crowd to see Hua Qinhuan's front, so it was difficult to distinguish his looks. The second picture was different. The background of the second picture was still the same small manor. The girl reached out to pick the beautiful blue roses, while the young man sat a few steps away from her. His gentle smile softened the young man's handsome facial features that had matured and carried a little aggressiveness. The affection in his eyes even poked the hearts of many girls at once. This scene was incomparable to the saying, "You look at the scenery, and he looks at you." The warm sunlight shone on the two of them, and it was as beautiful as a painting. Burp, the crowd, who had come in to scold them, was forced to eat a lot of dog food, and they were full. F***ck, is this the little uncle of the family Hua? Who said that he was old and ugly? With such good looks and old and ugly, shouldn't those men who can't be celebrities apologize with their lives? I love this little brother, it's a pity that he doesn't debut with such good looks. I want to debut, I want to debut. Superficial woman, you only know how to look at the face. Can't you see that the relationship between the young couple is so good? Eyes can't lie, didn't you see that when the two of them looked at each other, their eyes were full of each other? How can they let you little vixens get in the way? I feel like I'm going to climb the wall and change my husband again. But when I think about how this husband has already become someone else's husband, sob sob sob, my heart hurts. Height was not a problem, age was not a distance, to put it bluntly, in the eyes of many people, appearance and family background were the most important. Because these people were not involved, they did not know the character of the two of them, and how their relationship was. They could only judge whether the two of them were a good match based on these superficial things. Before this, when they found out that Su Yiyan was marrying Hua Xiaofeng's uncle, their first reaction was that she was marrying an old man about the same age as her father. A young and beautiful girl suddenly marrying an old man, even if it was true love, was bound to be criticized by outsiders. Now that the photo was out, it was different. Everyone realized that the person they were talking about was not only about the same age as Su Yiyan, but he was also much more handsome than the young master of the family Hua. A handsome man and a beautiful woman together was always pleasing to the eye. Some of the people who were obsessed with good looks changed sides on the spot and sucked in their beauty. Of course, There were also some people who suspected that the man in the photo might not be the so-called family Hua uncle at all. They were all uncles, so it was impossible for him to be so young. Even so, some people suspected that these two photos were posed. Su Yiyan didn't care what they thought. She watched as more and more people praised her husband's handsomeness under her post. There were all kinds of comments that licked the screen. At the same time, she felt proud and a little jealous. She wouldn't give her husband to anyone. No matter how much she licked him, he wouldn't be yours. Humph. Compared with the discussions of passers-by and the doubts of the Water Army team, Luo Weibing's fans are embarrassed. She felt that her brother's boss this time wasn't very smart. She didn't explain anything after being cheated on and got pregnant. She only cared about scolding those haters who complained that her husband was old and ugly. Well, I know you have a good relationship. Hurry up and explain other things. The people involved were not anxious, but the onlookers were anxious. But then they noticed the post forwarded by Su Yiyan. When they clicked on it, they found that it turned out to be a short advertisement, and the protagonist of this advertisement was their brother. Chapter 452. Ah, what is this? Brother's new costume drama? Or is he working with movie queen Shui? I can do it. It doesn't seem to be a new drama. It's an advertisement, or a game advertisement. The background of this advertisement is so beautiful. Brother and movie queen Shui are also very beautiful. I feel like I'm in love again. Some of the internet Water Army saw the exclamation of Luo Weibing's fans and finally noticed the advertisement. They didn't watch the advertisement, but only the advertisement of the game. They thought that Dongxing was a small company and couldn't provide any good resources. Showing off a small game advertisement, they really haven't seen the world. Luo Weibing's anti-fans also became spirited in an instant and began to mock and gloat. Hahaha, the double gold award winner has been reduced to shooting a game advertisement? I'm dying of laughter. How bad is this? But in the end, he deserves it. He's ungrateful, acting like a big shot, and betraying the company that he owes a favor to. He will always be punished. I don't want to say this, but didn't Black Ice always talk about Luo Weibing's double gold award winner title? The double gold award winner has been reduced to endorsing a game advertisement. He was even pulled out by the new boss to brag. Hee, I want to see how Black Ice can brag in the future. The anti-fans felt that compared to jewelry and clothing advertisements, game advertisements could be said to be the least well-known kind of endorsement. With Luo Weibing's original status, endorsing this advertisement was simply lowering his status. However, to the disappointment of the internet Water Army and the anti-fans, their ridicule didn't have any effect. Everyone was attracted by this beautiful advertisement. It was a magnificent scene. There were lofty mountains and lofty ridges, as well as flowing houses. A young man dressed in a light blue ancient robe drew his sword and swept it across, cutting a large area of green bamboo forest. His face was full of youthful spirit. The scene changed. Birds and beasts flew away, the stream was tinkling, and a girl wearing a light blue gauze dress by the river closed her eyes and played a flute. The melodious flute sound perfectly matched the background music. The advertisement was less than 2 minutes long, but it made everyone present feel like a proper blockbuster movie. Especially the exquisiteness of the video, it was as beautiful as a fairyland. Just by looking at it, people couldn't help but want to go in and take a look. At the end of the video, there was a publicity poster of two people back to back. At the same time, two big gold words flashed. Fantasy Banquet. There was a series of explanations at the bottom. The world's first holographic online game was officially released on the first day of the month. Many fans of Shui Kaiwei and Luo Weibing who heard the news were stunned. It took them a long time to react. Did I see it wrong? Chapter 453. After a few times, many people felt that the word holographic was similar to The Wolf is Coming. After watching the commercial, they felt that it might be another scam. Fortunately, the word fantasy gave them some confidence. With the popularity of live streaming, the development of virtual simulators had made many people remember this company. It was this company that allowed a single language interaction to be able to smell, eat, and even touch. This was a groundbreaking development. At that time, some people had speculated that if one day someone could turn virtual reality into reality, that person would definitely come from fantasy. And now, this prophecy had come true. They had really developed a holographic game and brought it here. I went out and did a search. The background of this company is quite mysterious. It feels like a small company that suddenly appeared out of nowhere. They created virtual simulators and now a holographic game. I suddenly feel a little excited. I don't care. Based on this commercial, I want to play this game. At worst, I'll be scammed again. Where can I find the address of this game? How can I buy a gaming pod and gaming helmet? Weiwei is awesome, Luoyingdi is awesome. Just based on the fact that Weiwei is endorsing this game and the scenes in the game are so beautiful, I want to play it too. Rounding it up, it's me and Weiwei playing the game together. After the anti-fans realized that they couldn't change the rhythm and attack Luo Weebing with this endorsement, they began to ridicule this game for being an ordinary holographic game. To think that so many brainless fans believed it. They were really stupid and had a lot of money. Luo Weebing's fans didn't care. If it was an ordinary game, they might be a little disappointed. However, this was a holographic game, the world's first holographic game. It was a holographic game that game fans dreamed of. They believed that their idol wouldn't casually endorse a deceptive game, so this game was most likely real. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been released so close to the game. As long as it was real, they could imagine how popular this game would be in the near future. As the spokesperson of this game would bring Luo Weebing a lot of popularity and traffic. Understanding this, Luo Weebing's fans calmed down. With resources in hand, they could laugh at a mad dog. The more you scold them now, the more popular their brother will be in the future. Before they woke up from the happiness of being hit by the giant pie falling from the sky, Luo Weebing, who had been scolded not long ago, finally stood up and sent a long Weibo to respond to the dirty water that some people had poured on him before. First of all, the director of a certain production team accused him of acting like a big shot. He had clearly promised to join the production team as the main lead, but he went back on his word right before the start of filming. Luo Weebing said that he did receive an invitation from the crew, but he refused him in front of the director from the beginning. However, the director did not give up. Later, he contacted his former manager, hoping to change his mind through him. At that time, he had less than a month left on his contract with the company. His agent had tried to negotiate with him many times, but his attitude was firm and he refused until he completely terminated his contract with his old management company. Therefore, he had never agreed to join the crew, nor did he have any written or verbal agreement with the crew. If they still wanted to pin the blame on him, then he had nothing to say. Chapter 454. Then there was the female star who suddenly jumped out and said that he sexually harassed her and was pregnant with his child. Luo Weebing simply responded, he has never had a relationship with any woman beyond friends since he was so old. Please respect yourself. The hidden meaning was, thank you for your invitation. I am still a virgin and have no ability to make any woman pregnant. The child in your belly belongs to whoever you like. Anyway, it's not mine. Finally, he and Su Yiyen were photographed in the hospital and were rumored to be kept as mistresses. He made the new boss pregnant by the unspoken rules and changed the company. Luo Weebing only sent a few medical records of his sister, indicating that it was his sister who was treated in the hospital. As the new boss of Luo Weebing's agency, Su Yiyen appeared in the hospital and was in the same frame with him because she went to the hospital to visit his sister. However, manager Xia of the company and his current agent were also with him at that time. Those photos only showed the scene of Su Yiyen discussing his sister's condition with him. In addition, the doctor who treated his sister was also arranged by the company. For this reason, he was very grateful to the company for saving his sister. He didn't regret choosing this humane company as his starting point. Luo Weibing's fans almost burst into tears when they saw his response. They said that they had known that Luo Weibing was not such a person. They felt sorry that he was slandered with such a good new boss. But there were still a considerable number of people who didn't believe Luo Weibing's response and even thought that he was deliberately quibbling. Because his response seemed to be reasonable, but except for the medical records, there was no substantial evidence at all. Without evidence, it meant that he was not completely innocent. But these people also forgot that this kind of thing was originally a matter of who argued and who provided evidence. These people who suddenly appeared to reprimand Luo Weibing only relied on their words. They didn't give evidence from the beginning to the end. They believed in the rumor and turned a blind eye to the sincere explanation of the party. They also shouted to him to hand over the evidence. Otherwise, how could it be said that Luo Weibing, the party involved, was miserable because of the rumor? Luo Weibing's protection of Dongsheng and Su Yiyan unsurprisingly annoyed his old boss. In their opinion, they have paid a lot of things for Luo Weibing over the years. Luo Weibing patted his ass and left as soon as the contract period was over. He should be suffered by them. As a result, Luo Weibing resisted and praised the new company. Isn't this a roundabout irony that their old company is not good to him? At the moment, he forwarded Luo Weibing's post and said that he respected Luo Weibing's choice. Their company was too small to accommodate the Buddha. At the same time, he bought a group of water army, accusing Luo Weibing of disobeying the company's control during the contract period. Obviously, he had already found the next company and vowed to put the hat of ingratitude on Luo Weibing's head. This has angered those old fans who have been fans of Luo Weibing since his debut and have followed him through countless ups and downs. At first, I thought that since my brother had worked in a black-hearted company for 6 to 7 years, there should be some affection. Let's part on good terms. We won't bother about the filthy things that the dog company did to our brother in the past. Now, this lousy company is obviously treating our tolerance as weakness and is beginning to distort the truth and step on my brother to suck his blood. Then, we have to properly settle the score. Chapter 455. Passers-by may not know the oppression that Luo Weibing has suffered over the years, but his true love fans remember it better than anyone else. If they arrange a lot of work for him, they know that Luo Weibing's family is not good and he needs money. If he has a job, he can make money. Even if many jobs are not worthy of his position, even if he is often tired like a dog. But what really makes Luo Weibing's fans sick is that this agency and his former agent really do all kinds of dirty operations. For example, a program or crew only invited Luo Weibing, and the company had to add another family member in the company to let Luo Weibing sign with the other party. If this family member is a moldable talent, it's okay. But the reason why the family member can become a family member is that he has no strength and wants to take a shortcut. Because of this binding agreement, the company and Luo Weibing's former agent made Luo Weibing bear a lot of blame and lose a lot of cooperation partners. What's more, most of Luo Weibing's anti-fans are gathered because of these dirty things. A few years ago, Luo Weibing was still their own artist. The company expected that he still had some value. Although it was disgusting, it was not too much. In the past 1 or 2 years, Luo Weibing's contract period was approaching, and his sister just happened to be seriously ill. The company divided some of his resources to other newcomers in the company on the grounds that something happened to his family and he couldn't take too much work in a short time. Not only did they take away the resources he should have, but they also deliberately let people publish articles to show the humanity of their company, causing a large number of media to rush to the hospital, just to find out what disease Luo Weibing's sister had, how was the treatment now, and whether her life was in danger. Luo Weibing and his sister were harassed several times. Finally, they had to transfer overnight, but they still couldn't completely get rid of these annoying reporters. This matter has been enough to make Luo Weibing's fans sick. Later, in order to be able to observe her idol closely, she specially applied for the internal staff of her former agency. In addition to squeezing Luo Weibing to promote the newcomers, the company's bigger purpose was to create how good the company was to him and force Luo Weibing to renew the contract with them. Because such a good and humane company, if Luo Weibing transferred to another company in his heyday, he would undoubtedly be labeled as ungrateful. After knowing this, Luo Weibing's fans were disgusted. On the one hand, they were looking forward to Luo Weibing's contract expiring as soon as possible and leaving this blood-sucking company. On the other hand, they were worried that Luo Weibing couldn't bear the pressure and continued to waste time in this dog company or leave the company. Therefore, as soon as he saw that someone had exposed the black material and someone was trying to fish in troubled waters, singing about how good Luo Weibing's former agency was to him and how ungrateful he was, he knew that it must have something to do with his agency. Unfortunately, as soon as they opened their mouths, they would be beaten into saying, "What kind of idol has what kind of fans?" Luo Weibing is ungrateful, and his fans are also blind. No one was willing to believe them, just like they clearly helped to clarify that Luo Weibing was in the hospital because his relatives were sick, not because Su Yiyan was pregnant, but they were pressed to the bottom by countless Water Army anti-fans, and it was hard to see the light of day. Su Yiyan's response gave them confidence that Luo Weibing's new company would not give up on him. In this case, they could also let go of their hands and feet and tear up this evil former agency. Chapter 456. Dongsheng and Huachenhuan's programmers didn't let them down. Su Yiyan attracted some firepower and won some time for them to investigate and collect evidence. Not long after Luo Weibing's statement was released, Dongsheng's official account gave the evidence that the public wanted. First of all, the director who accused Luo Weibing of being untrustworthy and having no spirit of contract. Dongsheng got the chat records of him and Luo Weibing's agent. From the records, it showed that the director began to talk to Luo Weibing's agent more than a month ago, asking him if he could persuade Luo Weibing to take over the show. Luo Weibing's agent promised, but hinted that the director could persuade Luo Weibing, but he had to give him some benefits. The director was also good, and directly transferred a lot of money to Luo Weibing's agent. After that, it was a month of tug-of-war. The latest chat record between the two was yesterday. When the director learned that Luo Weibing had terminated his contract with the agency and transferred to another company, he contacted the former agent immediately and asked him to return the money. The former agent asked himself that he had made a lot of efforts these days, but Luo Weibing didn't listen. He was determined to terminate the contract with the company, which made him be scolded by his boss and the directors and advertisers who had been good before. He didn't want to hand over the money, so he told the director that the company was ready to deal with Luo Weibing and his agency. Luo Weibing would be ruined after this. It was better to take advantage of this opportunity to make a wave of popularity. The director was moved. The reason why he insisted on Luo Weibing taking over the role was to take advantage of his popularity. Now there was a ready-made way. Why not? Just like that, the two of them happily finalized the plan. They probably never thought that these things that they thought were private would be dug out so quickly and even made public. When the director saw the chat record, he felt that his eyes were dark. He called Luo Weibing's former agent directly, because the chat record showed that the receiver was the other side. "Pu Wei, you hurt me. Wait, it's not over." After that, he didn't give the other side a chance to explain and hung up the phone directly. Pu Wei was also confused. He was sure that he had never shown these chat records to anyone. Why did the other side have such a detailed chat record? Could it be that the other party had hacked his account? When he thought up to here, Pu Wei felt a chill run down his spine, and he kept having the feeling that things were about to get worse. As it turned out, his premonition was quite accurate. As soon as Dongqing's chat record was sent out, Luo Weibing's fans suddenly exploded. Ah! Trash. As expected, it's this trashy company and trashy manager. I knew that our brother isn't the kind of person who acts like a big shot just because he's famous. This trashy manager and this trashy director are heartless. Ice Cube says that she will boycott all TV series and movies made by this director in the future. A trashy director is not fit to be a human. I'm so angry. I knew that this lousy company was evil, but I didn't expect it to be this evil. Indeed, in the eyes of capitalists, there is only money and no conscience. Where are the people who were clamoring for Big Brother to show evidence? Come and take a look at the evidence you want. Does your face hurt? Even after being used as a tool, he still foolishly worked for others. Keyboard warriors only have such IQ. Chapter 457. Of course, the keyboard warriors and the water army can't just surrender. They insist that the chat records can be forged, and who can be sure that the two people who are talking are really the former agents of the director and Luo Weibing? Luo Weibing's fans were amused by their lies. They were about to roll up their sleeves and fight with them when they saw someone shouting below. Hurry up, the official blog has posted evidence again. It seems that this time, they are really going to beat these idiots to the ground. I have been a bystander for so many years, but this is the first time I'm so excited. Hurry up, let's go and see. Seeing this, Luo Weibing's fans didn't care about the water army. They refreshed the page and saw the latest news from the official blog. Dongqing Entertainment, don't be too social. Did you get our baby's permission to take over? There was an audio after the update. Luo Weibing's fans clicked on it for a few seconds. They were stunned and then became angry. There were two protagonists in the audio, a man and a woman. Man, do you really want to do this? Woman, I can't help it. The company said that if I don't have an abortion, I can only be frozen. In addition, the company will hold me responsible and ask me to pay the liquidated damages. There is a clause in the contract I signed with the company that I can't fall in love. I broke the contract. Woman, this is our child. I don't want to abort him. But if we don't abort him, how can we pay the liquidated damages? After the child is born, what kind of milk powder and diapers don't cost money? Man, I know. I'm useless. I'm just unhappy. It's obviously my child, but they say it's someone else's. Woman, this is also something that can't be helped. If this matter is true, he may help us raise our child in the future. The company has already designed to shape me as the victim. With this popularity, I may really become popular. This is the only chance for me and my child. Bear with it. After this matter, our family of 3 can live a good life. Man. Yes. Yes, my ass. You don't want to abort or pay the liquidated damages, so you can just smear an innocent passerby who has nothing to do with you? You want others to raise your child for you? Relying on sucking other people's blood to get to the top. You're living a good life, but why don't you think about what kind of criticism the person who took over the plate will receive? How miserable will he be? You're still unhappy about this? Just bear with it, okay? Truly, shameless people are invincible in this world. Luo Weibing's fans heard the end and almost exploded in place. I've never been so angry since I was born. My hand that's holding my phone is shaking. What kind of trashy woman is this? She deserves to be a nobody for the rest of her life. She knows that my brother has nothing to do with her, and she knows that the child is not my brother's, but for her own interests, she came out to slander my brother for forcing her to have a child and even asked her to have an abortion. This is the first time I have seen such a shameless woman in my life. It's a good thing that Big Brother's new company is awesome this time. Otherwise, Big Brother would definitely be the one taking over the business. He's clearly not doing anything, yet he has to raise someone else's child. Who's so disgusting? I'll say it 1,000 times. Trash companies have no heart, no heart, no heart. When he was in the company, he was robbed of his resources and forced to take the blame for a newbie. After he left, he was slandered and stepped on. What did Big Brother owe you for you to trample on him like this? Chapter 458. Luo Weibing's fans were furious, and Dongqing Entertainment also released the third piece of evidence. It directly released the video of Su Yiyan visiting Luo Siki in the hospital that day. This video was taken by a nurse in the hospital. She was a fan of Luo Weibing. When she saw Luo Weibing coming to visit Luo Siki with Su Yiyan, she secretly recorded it and prepared to keep it as a private collection. She did not expect that it would unexpectedly become an important piece of evidence. However, when the scandal between the two of them broke out, she tried to release this video to prove their innocence. He did post it, but it was deleted in less than 2 minutes. His account was also blocked. Her account was used to chase stars, and few people paid attention to it. Therefore, this video was not noticed by many people. At that time, she realized that this matter was not simple. There must be someone behind it secretly to hurt Luo Weibing. After weighing the pros and cons, she summoned up the courage to send this video to the official account of Dongqing Entertainment. Originally, she was worried that the official account would be full of emails and might not notice her so soon. Unexpectedly, in half a minute, the other party replied to her, thanking her for her help and promising to give her a certain reward and a full set of works and photos of Luo Weibing after the matter was solved. The length of the video was less than 2 minutes. The people who appeared in it were as Luo Weibing said in the statement. In addition to him and Su Yiyan, there were Xia Junsheng and others. Su Yiyan first asked about Luo Siki's physical condition. After learning that her illness was getting better, she comforted Luo Weibing and asked him to take good care of his sister. The work was not urgent for the time being. Luo Weibing's fans were moved when they saw this video. They only felt that their brother finally met a good boss after all the hardships. Boo-hoo, I was full of anger when I heard the audio before. When I saw this video, I couldn't help crying. There are still many good people in the world. My brother and sister finally made it. Hee hee. One of them helped without saying a word, but was used by others to criticize and slander him with extremely dirty thoughts and vicious words. The other one clearly did something disgusting, but still insisted on describing himself as a pure white lotus that grew out of the mud. He wished that everyone would know how humane he was. It's ironic to think about it. Upstairs, people really can't stand the comparison. No wonder my brother is so protective of the new company. Looking at this video and the strange statement issued by a dog company not long ago, it's really a little disgusting. I heard that the current boss of Dongqing Entertainment is a little angel, protective and handsome. I didn't think so before, but now I finally believe it. I want such a good boss, I also want such a good boss. I've been eating melon for a whole day. My brother is a good boss. Fortunately, the company signed is a good company of the future. Although saying this is a bit of a spoilsport, if this incident didn't involve the boss and only targeted her brother, Dongqing probably wouldn't be so angry. I wonder if the higher-ups of the company who planned this farce are pissed to death now? Yang. Chapter 459. Luo Weibing's old boss, the senior executives who secretly wanted to use this incident to destroy Luo Weibing, and his former agent were really angry. They thought that Luo Weibing signed with an unknown small company. Even if this company had a movie queen and a king, they still didn't take the other party seriously. Especially after knowing that the person in charge of this company was a woman, they subconsciously looked down on her. She was just a woman. What could she do? But reality gave them a slap in the face. The people who wanted to cause trouble didn't lose anything at all. Instead, they gained a lot of sympathy. Even the shameful things they did were exposed. Everyone gritted their teeth in anger and hurriedly held a meeting to discuss the follow-up countermeasures. However, before they could come up with any countermeasures, Su Yiyan directly declared war on them. Little Susu of Huan's family, I have a bad temper. If I can fight, I won't talk too much. Let's not beat around the bush. It's getting cold. Ruei should go bankrupt. Ruei was Luo Weibing's former agency. Seeing this post, a group of onlookers were stunned. Damn, what kind of overbearing president's declaration is this? Although she is indeed a female president? It's inexplicably exciting. You dare to mess with my artist, I'll make you bankrupt. What kind of love is this? I love such a boss. Upstairs, you're a black fan? You obviously dared to say that my husband is old and ugly. I'll mess with you. This is immortal love. Don't make a mistake. Upstairs, you dragged President Sue and her husband into the water. If she doesn't make you bankrupt, her surname is not Sue. Is immortal love something you can scam as you want? Ha 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 ha, I actually got candy from such a Chunibu statement. Am I hopeless? Mo Fong, from today onwards, Ice Cube is a CP fan of President Sue and her husband. President Sue is a CP. Let's kill these evil idiots. As these people said, Su Yiyen posted this post for her husband. It would have been fine if they had only involved her. She couldn't be bothered to waste her time with these idiots. However, it was different when her husband was involved. She had caused her husband to be scolded by so many people. They even mocked him for being old and ugly. She could not let this matter go so easily. She was determined to fight to the death with this dog company. Whoever retreated was a dog. Of course, there were also some men who couldn't stand Su Yiyen's words and began to accuse Su Yiyen of bullying others. Yo, the capitalists are starting to make their move. Even a small company dared to challenge Roy E. It wasn't certain who would swallow who. Let's wait for this stupid woman to be slapped in the face. She's so arrogant because she has a rich husband. What's there to be proud of? To put it bluntly, they are all jackals of the same tribe. Luo Weibing's fans are also stupid. Maybe people help your idol so much just for the unspoken rules. They even think she is good. They are really brainless. Hee, this woman doesn't look like a good person at first glance. Perhaps she's using her husband's money to keep a gigolo outside without being discovered. Even if it's discovered, it can be suppressed with money. The power of capital is really not what ordinary people like us can imagine. Some people were like this. They believed what they wanted to believe. Even if it was the truth, even if others explained it many times, they could selectively block it and be at ease as if they were blind. Chapter 460. Su Yiyen didn't care about these people's cheap mouths. She secretly noted down the keyboard warriors who scolded her husband and handed them over to the company's legal department to deal with. Little did she know that Hua Chenhuan did the same thing. He secretly noted down the keyboard warriors who slandered his wife and handed them over to the company's technical department to deal with. Both sides were allies. When they met, they felt like they were being forced to eat a bunch of dog food. Everyone. This is too much. After handing over the follow-up matters to the legal department, Su Yiyen returned home feeling refreshed. As soon as she entered the door, she saw Hua Chenhuan and Uncle Zhang watching Dun Dun face the wall to reflect. Su Yiyen blinked in confusion. What's wrong with Dun Dun? Hearing Su Yiyen's voice, everyone's gaze shifted to her, including Dun Dun, who was facing the wall the whole time and had his butt facing Hua Chenhuan. Woof, master, the dog's daddy bullied me. Nothing, it caused some trouble this morning. I punished it to face the wall for half an hour. She played down most of the main points. Dun Dun. I was clearly very obedient today. When did I cause any trouble? You're clearly using your position to take revenge on me and bully me for not knowing how to speak. Helplessly, this dog suffered because it didn't know how to speak. As soon as Su Yiyen heard Hua Chenhuan's words, she immediately understood and nodded. She said firmly, this little guy is indeed becoming more and more presumptuous recently. We should discipline it. Let it squat, I'll go cook for you. Crack, this was the sound of Dun Dun's heart breaking. Sure enough, with a stepfather, there would be a stepmother. There was no way to live like this. Su Yiyen turned to enter the kitchen, but Hua Chenhuan pulled her back first. Huh? Su Yiyen looked confused. What's wrong? I'm the most handsome person in the world. When Uncle Zhang saw that the young couple had something to talk about, he tactfully left. At this moment, there was only Su Yiyen and an autistic dog left in the living room. Hearing Hua Chenhuan's words, Su Yiyan's face instantly turned red. She said rather embarrassedly, "You saw it?" She had been so confident when she posted it on the internet, but now that she was in front of the person in question, she felt inexplicably ashamed. She was indeed not thick-skinned enough. Hua Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyan's blushing face and smiled. "Are you serious?" Su Yiyan was slightly startled, but she quickly reacted and said with a serious face, "Of course I'm sincere. In my eyes, you're the most handsome person in the world." The smile in Hua Chenhuan's eyes deepened. He pinched her face and said, "I've already sent someone to purchase Ruei. I'll hand it over to you within 3 days." "Buy Ruei?" Su Yiyan was taken aback. "Didn't you say that you wanted to close it down?" "I did say that, but at that time, she wanted to ask her brother for help, not ask Hua Chenhuan to buy the company for her." "What?" "Nothing." Hua Chenhuan seemed to have seen through her thoughts. He sighed slightly and said, "If you have any difficulties in the future, I hope that the first person you think of is me." Su Yiyan was slightly startled. After she reacted, she couldn't help but smile. "Okay, I'll remember that. If I have any difficulties in the future, I'll definitely look for you first." "Okay, let's not talk about this anymore." Hua Chenhuan's expression became better. He looked directly into Su Yiyan's eyes and said meaningfully, "I heard that you were confessed to by a student at school today." Su Yiyan. Which bastard spread the news to her, and to her husband? Chapter 461. Don't misunderstand, As soon as she met Hua Chenhuan's eyes, Su Yiyan's words got stuck in her throat. She gave up and said, "Yes, someone asked me if I was single. Actually, it wasn't a confession. It's just that young people are a little restless. Also, I told them clearly that I'm married." She didn't do anything, so why did she feel inexplicably guilty when asked? Su Yiyan concluded that the main reason was that she wasn't thick-skinned enough. "I'm sad." "Huh?" Su Yiyan was caught off guard by Hua Chenhuan's sudden show of weakness. "Today, there were so many people scolding you and me online. It seemed like it was because of our age, but in fact, our physical disability was also an important reason. But you're almost recovered. But the people outside don't know." Hua Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyan with deep eyes. "Will those who like you think that I'm not good enough for you? Will they pursue you again? I know that I shouldn't be so suspicious, but I just can't help it." "I understand." Su Yiyan didn't wait for Hua Chenhuan to finish speaking and grabbed his hand first. "I know what you're worried about, and I understand your concerns. As long as it involved her, Hua Chenhuan's inferiority complex would always be there. Many people wouldn't believe that this man, who was so outstanding in the eyes of those who knew him, would actually feel inferior. Because of his physical disability, and because he cared about her, he always had some doubts about himself and worried about his gains and losses." Su Yiyan was anxious and distressed. Whether it was in this life or her previous life, this man, who was strong enough to compete with the whole world, could always easily make her heart tighten. "If you don't mind being watched, you can come and pick me up when I go to school next week." Hua Chenhuan's eyes lit up. Did Su Yiyan mean that he could go and claim sovereignty at any time? "Okay, I'll come and pick you up." Hua Chenhuan's restless heart calmed down a little, but suddenly a trace of other thoughts appeared. "I want a compensation." "What kind of compensation?" "Tonight, let's try the game together." Although Fantasy Feast would be officially released in 4 days, as the big boss of this game, Gu Xiaoyang had already sent the two a set of game cabins. This was a super benefit that only internal employees could enjoy. As long as you want to, you can experience anything before others. Su Yiyan agreed without hesitation. "It just so happens that I'm quite curious about this holographic game. Let's play together tonight." "Okay." Hua Chenhuan smiled again, holding on Su Yiyan's hand. He wanted to send the virtual world he had created to her. He wanted to take her to every corner of the world and see the scenery of the world together. The two happily decided the entertainment, meeting, activity that night. Those keyboard warriors, the director, the female artists, and Roe, who stood behind them, were not in such a good mood. Not long after Su Yayan posted that post, Dongqing Entertainment listed out the list of people that needed to be dealt with. The list ranged from a certain agency to a bystander who had reposted and commented more than 500 times. As long as there was evidence of slandering the parties involved, a lawyer's letter was sent to them. Chapter 462. The first to bear the brunt were the 18th-tier actress, a certain director, and a certain management company. However, the first to panic were the keyboard warriors. These people often scolded when celebrities had scandals, and no one did anything to them. They really didn't understand why they stepped into a ditch this time. At first, these people didn't care much when they saw their IDs on the list. They only thought that Dongqing was bluffing and that it would pass after a few days. They didn't expect to receive a lawyer's letter from the other party in less than half an hour. Only then did they realize the seriousness of the matter. The first thing these people thought of was not to apologize, but to scold Dongqing's account. A small company is a small company. It's such a small matter and they send a lawyer's letter. They really don't have any tolerance at all. They deserve to be fired. It's indeed a company run by women. You're so calculative. Are you afraid that others don't know that you're so petty? Trash company. If you have the ability, sue us. We're scolding you, so what? At first, the passers-by were a little strange when they saw these comments. When they saw that these people's IDs were exactly the same as those on the list, they suddenly understood. Ha ha ha, I was wondering why there were suddenly so many nitpicking comments. It turns out that, although it's not kind, I still want to laugh. By the way, they deserve it. This is the second time, and there are still people who don't learn their lesson. Do you think that you can casually scam me, President Su? If you dare to come forward, you should be prepared to be slapped in the face. Do you really think that no one can do anything to you through the internet? After seeing the video of President Su scolding the scumbag and mistress, you should know that she's not someone to be trifled with. You deserve it. Yo, the cancer of the straight man is everywhere. Settling accounts with you is being calculative and petty. According to what you said, those people who were scolded by you deserve it. They can't resist, right? Don't say, I like how President Su is so stubborn. If people don't offend her, she won't offend them. If people offend her, she will pay them back 10 times. Serves them right. This is the first time in my life that I've seen someone rush to be sued. Don't worry, President Su is ruthless and doesn't say much. If I say I'll wash your mouths for free, then I'll wash your mouths for free. Serves you right. There was no need for the people from Su Yiyan's company to control the comments. The passers-by who couldn't stand it had already spontaneously attacked these people until they were speechless. Luo Weibing's fans are even more happy. They can't wait to go out and buy a truck of firecrackers. My brother's luck is finally getting better. He signed with such a firm that's even tougher than a diamond, and he's going to confront Roy directly. Dongqing Chongya, press this dog company to the ground and rub it. From today onwards, Ice Cube is the most loyal fan of the official blog. Ha 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 ha, reality has proven that you'll really bump into ghosts if you walk too much at night. Didn't this trashy female artist want to use her brother as a stepping stone to rise to fame? Now it's great. After a wave of black and red, it's completely gone. Goodbye. JPG, anyone who paid a little attention to this circle would know that those keyboard warriors and water armies would be sued for nothing more than some money. If it was serious, they would be locked up for a few days. The female artist, the director, and Roy were different. To put it bluntly, the entertainment circle was all about the popularity of passers-by. If a person with bad character wasn't exposed, it was okay. If it was exposed, except for some radical fans, who would be willing to buy their account. The female artist was a D-list actress. She didn't have many fans, so naturally, she didn't have much support. This time, she was completely gone. Chapter 463. It was the same for a certain director. If he was a great director, there would be no need to rush to find people. As soon as the audition notice was released, there would naturally be many people coming to apply. Now that his reputation was ruined, the investors would most likely withdraw their investment or even hold him accountable and ask him to pay the penalty for breach of contract. The early investment had already been invested, and with the penalty for breach of contract, the director could not rely on this show to make money. It was already good enough that he did not empty his savings and was in debt. As for Ruoyi, in the eyes of many people, it was indeed bigger than Dongsheng and could be regarded as an established entertainment company. At first, the crowd was still waiting excitedly. They wanted to see a life-and-death battle between the two companies. But it didn't take long for them to realize that they were still too naive. After waiting and waiting, the two companies did not openly fight and both sides suffered losses. Instead, they waited for the senior executives of Ruoyi to commit tax evasion, forcing the company's artists to accept the unspoken rules, and even causing a shocking scandal that killed people. Overnight, almost all the senior executives of Ruoyi were arrested. Without a leader and a lost reputation, Ruoyi easily changed owners. This swift and decisive fall from power left the onlookers dumbfounded, but they also exclaimed in satisfaction. Some people who were hiding after this incident were not as miserable as Ruoyi, but they also learned some lessons. Ah! Mrs. Hua stood in front of the emergency room door, anxiously pacing around. From time to time, she would let out a low cry and murmur that she could not suppress. How could this be? How could this be? Hua Qihan, who heard the news, came with a dark face. When he saw her like this, he frowned. What the hell is going on? My company has a contract to sign in a while. Mrs. Hua was anxious, and when she heard his words, she instantly became angry. Contract, contract, contract. You only think about the contract. Xiaofeng has an accident, and you still think about the contract. If it had been in the past, when he heard that his only son had an accident, Hua Qihan might have been nervous, but now he was unexpectedly indifferent and even a little impatient. If I don't sign the contract and don't work, what will you eat? You eat my food and live in my house, and you complain about me. Who gave you the face? Mrs. Hua was speechless by her husband's unceremonious rebuke. It took a while for her to react, and she trembled slightly with anger. What do you mean? Despise me? Back then, you were the one who didn't let me go out to work. You said that women should stay at home to take care of their husbands and children. You said that you would take good care of us. It's only been a few years. Have you forgotten? Enough. Hua Qihan impatiently interrupted Mrs. Hua's words. He did not cherish her as much as he did when they were husband and wife. He only felt that she was annoyed because she was moaning for no reason. I don't want to argue with you. Did you call me just to argue with me? What happened to Xiaofeng? If you don't tell me, I'm leaving. Mrs. Hua was trembling with anger. She thought of her son, who was still in the emergency room. She took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in her heart. She said coldly, I don't know. I just received a call saying that Xiaofeng was beaten up in a bar and is still in the emergency room. Hua Qihan clicked his tongue and complained in a low voice, You're already an adult, yet you're still doing nothing and causing trouble everywhere. Mrs. Hua widened her eyes in disbelief. It was as if she could not believe that these words came from her husband. In the past, even if Hua Xiaofeng had taken the initiative to cause trouble, he would protect him. Now, it was obvious that his son had been beaten up and was in the emergency room. It was someone else's fault. How could he blame him for causing trouble? Chapter 464. Mrs. Hua's face was so gloomy that it looked like it was about to rain. Just then, the door of the emergency room opened and Hu Xiaofeng was wheeled out. Xiaofeng, Xiaofeng. Mrs. Hu couldn't care about anything else and hurriedly wanted to chase after him. However, she saw that the doctor who had treated Hu Xiaofeng had also followed him out. She hurriedly grabbed the doctor and asked, Doctor, how is our Xiaofeng? The doctor glanced at her and said truthfully, although the patient's hand has been reattached, it took too long. We can't guarantee that his hand will be able to carry heavy things like before. The implication was that although Hu Xiaofeng's hand had been reattached, the injury was more serious. He was afraid that he would only be able to do light work in the future. As a man, he might not even be able to carry his wife and child. His condition was not far from Hu Chenhuan's. Mrs. Hu's legs went weak on the spot. By the time she recovered from this serious news, the doctor had already left. Hu Qihan also heard the doctor's words. He frowned slightly but didn't show much emotion. Just then, his cell phone rang. Hu Qihan glanced at the display and turned to leave to answer the call outside. Mrs. Hu saw that he was about to leave and her heart sank. She almost screamed, "Our son is already like this. Where are you going? You haven't been home all day these days. What have you been doing? Are you really so busy with work?" Hu Qihan stopped in his tracks when he heard this. He turned his head and glared at his wife fiercely. He gritted his teeth and said, "I'm not a doctor. What's the use of staying here?" After saying that, he turned around and left quickly without waiting for Mrs. Hu's reaction. Mrs. Hu's heart sank. She looked at her husband's back and cried bitterly. After crying, she rushed to her son's room in a daze and found that Hu Xiaofeng had already woken up. "Xiaofeng, you're awake. Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Does your hand hurt?" Hand? When Hu Xiaofeng heard her words, it was as if he had just woken up from a dream. He subconsciously tried to lift his hand, but found that his hand could not move at all. Recalling what had happened in the bar, Hu Xiaofeng's expression changed drastically. His face was filled with horror. "My hand, why can't I move my hand?" Mrs. Hu was shocked. She rushed forward to stop him and said with concern, "Your hand is fine. Don't worry. You've just had surgery, don't move around." Mrs. Hu's words made Hu Chenhuan calm down a little. With reddened eyes, she confirmed, "Are you really okay?" Mrs. Hu pursed her lips. She was both heartbroken and angry. Her son should have been a carefree young master. Why did he become like this? Hu Xiaofeng did not wait for Mrs. Hu's answer. He panicked even more and said anxiously, "Mom, tell me honestly. My hand. What happened to my hand?" "Xiaofeng, don't be too agitated. Your hand is fine, but..." Mrs. Hu looked deeply at her son and choked with sobs. "The doctor said that if you drag it on for too long, it might not be able to fully recover. You won't be able to lift heavy things in the future." Hu Xiaofeng's face turned pale. As if he had been struck by lightning, he collapsed on the hospital bed. Mrs. Hu cried even harder. "Don't worry. That's just what the doctor said. Other doctors might have a way. There are so many amazing doctors in the world. Will someone be able to cure your hand? Even if they can't cure it, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do any heavy work anyway. It won't affect your hand." Chapter 465. Hu Xiaofeng listened to his mother's weeping for a long time with a cold face. Suddenly, his face turned ferocious, and he kicked the bed. "It's him, it must be him. I'm going to kill him." Hu Xiaofeng's sudden outburst frightened Mrs. Hu. She looked at all of this in a daze, not knowing how to react. Until Hu Xiaofeng grabbed her hand and said crazily, "Mom, it must be Hu Chenhuan, it must be him. That cripple, he's the one who made me like this, it must be him." "How do you know it's him? Why would he do that to you?" Mrs. Hu seemed to wake up from a dream. Then, she seemed to think of something and said in a panic, "Did you do something? Tell Mom, did you do something again? Hu Chenhuan had indeed had a few conflicts with them recently, but it was almost always her son who provoked them first. It was precisely because she knew this that Mrs. Hu asked this question. Hu Xiaofeng's face darkened, and his voice rose a few octaves. I didn't do anything. He's a cripple, and he's jealous of me because I'm still healthy. That's why he wants to harm me and turn me into a cripple like him. Yes, that must be it. Hu Xiaofeng's voice was quite loud, but his eyes unconsciously wandered. Mrs. Hu knew her son well, and she could tell at a glance that he wasn't telling the truth. She said resentfully, if he was really jealous of you, he would have done it long ago. He wouldn't have waited until now. Xiaofeng, tell Mom the truth, what's going on? What did you do? Are you still trying to hide it from Mom at this time? Hu Xiaofeng choked, and after a while, he said reluctantly, I heard that someone wanted to mess with Su Yiyan and wanted to fake news of her having an affair, so I asked someone to add fuel to the fire. I revealed that the cripple is my uncle, and he's a cripple at that, and confirmed her motive for having an affair. Mrs. Hu's face tightened, and she didn't believe him. That's all? That's all. Hu Xiaofeng's face was deathly pale. After this matter was leaked, many people cursed Su Yiyan. They even mocked that cripple for being old, ugly, and crippled. Maybe because of this, he suddenly tried to harm me. No, it's not a possibility. It's definitely him. There's no one else other than him. Mrs. Hu still couldn't believe that Hu Chenhuan would cripple her son's hand just because of this. However, she couldn't think of anyone else in such a short time. Filled with righteous indignation, she said, just because someone said a few bad things about him, he got so angry and even got someone to hurt you. What's more, what you told your men to leak out was the truth. He's a cripple, so why would he be afraid of others talking about him? We can't just let it go like this. We have to make him compensate you. We have to make him compensate you. No matter how much you compensate me, my hand can't be healed. Hu Xiaofeng's eyes were sinister, revealing a hint of resentment. But you're right, Mom. We can't just let this go. Where's Dad? Did you tell Dad about what happened to me? Mrs. Hu's expression suddenly froze. She lowered her head and said, No, your dad had to sign an important contract this morning. His phone was turned off, so I couldn't get in touch with him. Hu Xiaofeng didn't suspect anything. Then I'll tell him when he's done. By the way, where's little Ping? Mom, did you see her when you came over? Little Ping? You mean Wen Jingping? Did you go to the bar with her? Mrs. Wen's expression changed again when she heard Hu Xiaofeng's words. She looked at her son with a hint of dissatisfaction. Didn't I tell you to stay away from that little B***tch? Why are you hanging out with her again? Will you die if you leave her? She must have cast a spell on you. Chapter 466. Hu Xiaofeng felt embarrassed to be scolded by her, but he still asked patiently, You really didn't see anyone? No. Mrs. Hu said angrily, I rushed over as soon as I received the call, but I didn't see anyone. I'm the only one here. Hu Xiaofeng's face turned green and white. In the end, he kicked the railing next to the bed. Damn it, bitch. He went to the bar today because a few of his friends suddenly called him and asked him to bring his girlfriend over for a gathering. Hu Xiaofeng was in a bad mood because of the company's problems, so he didn't want to go. Wen Jingping advised him to go out more if he was in a bad mood. She had been with him for so long, but she had never met his friends. Did he not want to introduce her to his friends? Hu Xiaofeng was persuaded by her, so he took her there. As a result, when he got there, he happened to bump into some people gambling in the bar. Moreover, the person in the lead was a sworn enemy of his who had a falling out with him before. With Wen Jingping next to him, Hu Xiaofeng, who loved to save face, took the bait almost immediately. Now that he thought about it, Hu Xiaofeng realized that the other party had come prepared and deliberately set a trap for him. He was really stupid to fall for it. No matter what, Hua Xiaofeng made a bet with the other party. Hua Xiaofeng lost, but the other party didn't ask for money. They only broke his hand and even cut his tendons. What disappointed him the most was that when all this happened, he was full of hope that Wen Jingping would save him like Su Yiyan did when he fell into the water on the night of Hua Chenhuan and Su Yiyan's wedding. However, Wen Jingping didn't live up to his expectations. Not only did she not help him, but she even secretly hid aside when the group of people held him down, afraid that she would be implicated. Before this, Hua Xiaofeng still had a faint hope in his heart. He hoped that Wen Jingping's retreat was to protect herself, so that she could send him to the hospital immediately after he got into trouble. But the truth was, she didn't. In order not to be implicated, she decisively abandoned herself. This was the woman that he had chosen himself. In order to be with her, he did not hesitate to become enemies with the Su family. Hua Xiaofeng's eyes were bloodshot. At this moment, he even hated Wen Jingping. Congratulations, host, snatching the female protagonist's golden finger progress plus 15. Current progress is 45%. You are only 5% away from the progress bar of snatching the male protagonist's golden finger. Please continue to work hard. Su Yiyan was a little confused when he heard the system notification. Why did it suddenly increase by 15? Did something happen on Wen Jingping's side again? After testing, the relationship between the male and female leads has collapsed on a large scale, causing the influence of the female lead's goldfinger to be reduced to a certain extent. Su Yiyan was stunned. Didn't these two always claim to be true love? How could it collapse just like that? So casual. What happened? Why did the two of them fall out just like that? This afternoon, the male lead was provoked when he brought the female lead to a bar. He lost a bet and injured his hand and was hospitalized. The female lead left him in the lurch and fled after the incident, causing the relationship between the two to fall apart. Su Yiyan blinked. He almost thought that he was hallucinating because he was too tired. This doesn't make sense. Didn't Wen Jingping claim to be deeply in love with Hua Xiaofeng? Didn't she say that when her aunt kicked Hua Xiaofeng into the water, she did everything she could to save Hua Xiaofeng and almost drowned in the end? Why did she suddenly leave him in the lurch? That was then and this is now. Please make your own judgment regarding the specific reasons. Su Yiyan. If I knew, would I still need to ask you? What use do I have for you? Chapter 467. However, the phrase, that was then and this is now, seemed to have a deeper meaning. The biggest difference between then and now was Hua Xiaofeng's status. At that time, Hua Xiaofeng was still the popular heir of the Hua family. Now, he was just an abandoned pawn. Just because of this, Wen Jingping kicked him out? If that was the case, then the so-called true love between the two of them was not the usual kind of irony. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed with a trace of mockery. Then, as if thinking of something, she frowned and said, "What's up with the male lead's cheat? Is it to let Chenhuan snatch Hua Xiaofeng's cheat? Then why didn't it open in the beginning?" Now that Hua Xiaofeng had been kicked out of the Hua family and lost his status as the heir, what else was there to snatch? The progress bar of the male lead's cheat will open when the progress bar of the female lead's cheat is halfway through. The details will be explained when the time comes. Su Yiyan. In other words, I asked a few questions, but you didn't answer any of them. What's the use of having you? As if sensing Su Yiyan's disdain, the system replied with some emotion, which was rare for it. Humph. Su Yiyan? Why did she feel that the system style was a little off? No, it didn't seem to have been like this recently. It was only after Yuanyuan came to this house that the system style began to change. It became more human. Thinking of this, Su Yiyan could not help but smile. Perhaps, at first, she did not like this uninvited guest who had taken the initiative to enter her brain. However, after so many things, she realized that the system had indeed been helping her all this time. It could even be said that it had not only helped her. Its existence had allowed her uncle and aunt to have a baby that they had been longing for. It had prevented Ning Chirue from dying of a serious illness. The Ning and Qi families had also prevented their families from being wiped out because of his death. It had also allowed Hua Chenhuan to be reborn. Other than that, there were many more. Because of it, many people were saved from being persecuted by the plot. It was also because of it that she could start over again and change the fate of herself and the people around her. Su Yiyen's eyes flickered as she said sincerely, "Thank you." She was met with a long silence. After about 5 minutes, a mechanical voice sounded in her head. "Congratulations to the host for obtaining +10 favorable impression points." It was a dry sentence. It was different from the previous increase in favorability, which was followed by a long string of words of encouragement. No matter how one looked at it, this favorability notification sounded a little shabby. Su Yiyen quickly understood who gave him these 10 favorable impression points and laughed softly. Who would have thought that the system, which had always been so strict, was actually such a tsundra on the inside? The system. "You're the tsundra, your whole family is tsundra." As if it had sensed Su Yiyen's emotions, a series of strange electric current crackled before it returned to normal. The system silently disappeared, and Su Yiyen did not continue to tease it. At this time, Ling Xiaoqi, who had just returned from a trip during the holidays and had seen all the bad news on the internet, anxiously called her. "Yan Yan, are you okay? What's going on with the messy news on the internet? Are you and that person of yours okay?" Su Yiyen knew what she was worried about. She smiled slightly and said, "What can happen to me? They're the ones who are in trouble. Didn't you see the investigation list on our company's official account? Little people, who dare to provoke me, don't even think about running away." Chapter 468. Ling Xiaoqi was embarrassed. She thought to herself, "I called you because I saw the long list of names. I was worried that you would hurt your health. Are you really okay? I think they attacked your husband. Your husband isn't angry because of this, right? You too, don't hurt your health. At most, we'll ask them to pay for it." Ling Xiaoqi knew how much Su Yiyen loved her husband. As an outsider, she was angry when she saw the comments on the internet, let alone Su Yiyen. Su Yiyen snorted and said with some pride, "How can I be appeased just by asking them to pay for it? My husband wants to help me destroy that company and buy it back to be my toy. If they dare to provoke me, I'll go over and be their boss. I'll make them serve me tea and please me. Let's see who dares to talk nonsense in the future." Ling Xiaoqi was speechless. "Good, you guys know how to play. As a single dog, it's my fault to feel sorry for newlyweds like you. Okay, don't show off in front of me. As a poor working dog, I can't afford to eat royal dog food like you guys." Su Yiyen listened to her grief and anger and chuckled. "Are you jealous? If you're jealous, then find one quickly. My brother is also single. How about? Don't give me random matchmaking. If you push me too hard, I'll bite you with Hua Hua." Su Yiyen pursed her lips. A dog biting Lu Dongbin. You don't know how to appreciate kindness. Okay. I know you're doing this for my own good. Let's not talk about this anymore. I have a question for you." "What question?" Ling Xiaoqi coughed softly and was a little embarrassed. "You've been married for a while. Have you done it?" Su Yiyen was stunned. She looked at the screen again and confirmed that the person who asked this question was Ling Xiaoqi. "Why are you asking this?" I just want to ask you if your married life is harmonious. If it's not harmonious, I have some videos here. Do you want to watch and learn?" Although Ling Xiaoqi knew that most of the vicious words on the internet were false, the discussions made her realize that her good friend was not married to an ordinary person. Hua Chenhuan's legs were disabled, so her movements were definitely limited. It was inevitable that the husband and wife would not get along well in certain aspects. At this time, Su Yiyan had to put in a lot of effort. It wasn't that Ling Xiaoqi didn't believe in their feelings for each other. It was just that for most couples, this was a plus. What if the two of them didn't get along well and had a conflict? What if one of them took things too hard and went out to find someone else? Their relationship would be ruined. Ling Xiaoqi was an imaginative person. She was worried sick about her best friend, so she mustered up the courage to give her personal collection to Su Yiyan. When Su Yiyan heard her words, she was stunned for a few seconds. These few seconds were the time when her worldview was shattered and rebuilt. You're a single dog who doesn't even have a boyfriend. How could you have such a thing? Ling Xiaoqi was stunned by the roar. When she came back to her senses, she was angry and amused. Who's a single dog who can't watch such things? You're discriminating. Discriminating my ass. Gosh, I need to calm down. Su Yiyan took a deep breath. I didn't expect it. You usually look so serious, but in private, you're actually such a person. I've really misjudged you. It's not too late to find out now. Do you want it? If not, forget it. If not for the fact that you're my best friend, I wouldn't be willing to take it out. Ling Xiaoqi was about to hang up. Chapter 469. Wait. Su Yiyan sensed her intentions and exclaimed, let's talk nicely. Don't hang up just yet. Pfft. Ling Xiaoqi could hear the urgency in Su Yiyan's voice. She couldn't help but laugh, but she quickly restrained herself. Since you want to talk nicely, tell me honestly. Have you guys? Su Yiyan was speechless. She seriously suspected that a certain someone didn't ask this question for her sake, but to satisfy a certain someone's own curiosity. Why aren't you answering? Don't tell me, you haven't? Ling Xiaoqi thought that Su Yiyan would respond with silence like before. Unexpectedly, she heard Su Yiyan reply in the next second. Yeah. Really? Ling Xiaoqi gasped. You haven't done it even once in such a long time? Don't tell me you guys. Stop. There's nothing wrong with us. He's receiving treatment recently, so it's not suitable for him to do such things to distract himself. Treatment? What treatment? Ling Xiaoqi quickly reacted after asking the question. Leg? Your husband is receiving treatment for his leg? Can his leg really be cured? Yeah, he's already doing rehabilitation. Su Yiyan trusted Ling Xiaoqi, so she didn't hesitate to tell her the truth. That's great. Ling Xiaoqi exclaimed. When she first met Hua Chenhuan, she thought that he was good at everything. He was handsome, rich, and doted on Su Yiyan. The only regret was that his leg was crippled. Now that she knew that his leg could be cured, Ling Xiaoqi was truly happy for Su Yiyan. She wanted to see how those keyboard warriors with cheap mouths would use this to attack them in the future. A bunch of sour chickens. When Su Yiyan heard Ling Xiaoqi's words, the corners of her mouth unconsciously curled up. The next second, he heard Ling Xiaoqi ask in a low voice with a faint smile, since he's almost recovered, then what I said just now, send them all to me, not a single one less. If I find out that you've been hiding them, I'll give you a couple score tomorrow. Ling Xiaoqi. Oh, look at how anxious he is. He even had the nerve to criticize me just now. Shameless. Although she complained, Ling Xiaoqi still sent the item to Su Yiyan. After Su Yiyan received the file, he immediately saw the long list of file names. 360-degree spiral circle Thunderbolt Invincible Private Collection, Death to Peepers. Su Yiyan was speechless. There were so many scenes in a folder. Were they afraid that others wouldn't know that there was something not suitable for children inside? That's enough. Su Yiyan complained as she opened the folder. Then, she tried to open the first video. What came into view was an abnormal scene that required the entire screen to be pixelated, as well as an inexplicably loud and somewhat frightening scream. Su Yiyan was dumbfounded on the spot. It took him a long time to react and turn off the video. Gotcha! The bedroom door was open from the outside. Su Yiyen felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He stood up immediately and tried to turn off the video in a flurry. However, the more nervous he became, the more flustered he became. Fortunately, he managed to turn off the video before the people outside came in. Hua Chenhuan opened the door and looked around. Then, she glanced at Su Yiyen and said doubtfully, "I think I heard something strange just now." "No, there was nothing at all," Su Yiyen said righteously, but it made people even more suspicious. Hua Chenhuan looked at her suspiciously. Su Yiyen felt inexplicably guilty. He lowered his head slightly and said, "I accidentally clicked on a spam page just now. The sound was a little loud. It's not a big deal, ha ha ha. Chapter 470. Hua Chenhuan looked at her deeply and suddenly understood something. He said in a low voice, "Yes." Su Yiyen's face was so hot that it could fry an egg. She took the initiative to change the topic. "Are you here to play games with me?" "I'm ready." "Let's go." "Okay." Hua Chenhuan was pushed into the study by her. His eyes were full of smiles. In the middle of the large study, there were 2 game cabins sent by Gu Xiaoyang. The game cabins were tightly closed and could only be opened by the owner after his identity was verified. They looked like containers and escape cabins, but Su Yiyen didn't like the dark color. She always felt that they were not game cabins, but 2 small coffins. Su Yiyen was a little unhappy when she thought that she and Hua Chenhuan would have to sleep in these 2 coffins. No, in the game cabins to log into the game. Even if she really had to sleep in coffins, she would sleep in the same coffin as Hua Chenhuan after she died. How could there be 2 of them? Hua Chenhuan didn't know that his little wife was staring at the 2 game cabins and thinking about their lives 100 years later. Seeing that she stood beside the game cabins for a long time without any reaction, he thought that she was worried about the dangers of these things. These game cabins were tested repeatedly before they were sent here. They are absolutely safe. Don't be afraid. Su Yiyen was stunned. She knew that he misunderstood, but she didn't explain. She nodded with a faint smile. After the identity verification, the game cabins automatically opened. There was a long side passage on the right side, which didn't take up much space. It was used to prevent players from being hungry after playing for too long. The principle was actually the same as giving nutrition infusions to patients who couldn't swallow. Su Yiyen and Gu Xiaoyang didn't plan to stay in there for a whole day, so they didn't inject any nutrition infusions. Su Yiyen lay in the game cabin with a feeling of exploring the unknown. She was excited but also nervous. "Are you nervous?" Hua Chenhuan's voice came from the side. "A little." "Don't be afraid, I'll be with you," Hua Chenhuan said as she reached out to Su Yiyen. Their gaming cabins were placed side by side, so they could touch each other as long as they stretched out their hands. "See you inside." "See you inside." The 2 of them looked at each other and smiled. The moment they retracted their hands, the gaming capsule also closed. After a moment of darkness, a mechanical voice said, "Welcome to Illusory Feast. Please enter your game name." "Game name?" Su Yiyen pondered for a moment, then blushed and said, "Little Yan Yan of the Huan Huan family. Player's game name is Huan Huan's Little Yan Yan." "Confirm?" "Yes." As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yiyen heard a ding. "Your game name has been confirmed. Have a good time." Following that, there was a sense of weightlessness, followed by a burst of pleasant music in his ears, and his vision suddenly became a little dazzling. Su Yiyen subconsciously used her hand to block the light. When the light dissipated, the scene in front of her had completely changed. The sky was even more blue than in reality. There were no tall buildings or cement cars. Instead, it was replaced by green mountains and clear water. The grass was long and the birds were flying. The sound of flowing water was mixed with the chirping of birds and cicadas from time to time. A gentle breeze blew, rustling the leaves on the branches and bending the grass in the forest. Standing by the stream, Su Yiyen seemed to be able to faintly smell the fragrance of the grass brought by the wind and the faint water vapor of the stream. Subconsciously taking a deep breath, Su Yiyen said with surprise and disappointment, "It's actually the same as in reality. No, it's even more beautiful than in reality." You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.